Attention Deficit Disorder or ADD and Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder or ADHD is not a new phenomenon, although it is receiving increased publicity. It is not something we can completely cure, but early identification, timely intervention and treatment can greatly help the child. Most with ADD do not have any problems of intelligence. Most have average or above average intelligence, but may still have academic difficulties because of the way their brain and nervous system functions.
A typical public school. Children rushing to their classes, smiling, bright and innocent faces. Can you tell what goes on in their minds? This is Mrigank. He now studies in class 4. Is a little over 7 years old, never sits still, full of life, easily distracted, has difficulty concentrating and attending to the task in hand, is good with drawing, can make beautiful shapes with clay.
Will you please stop playing with that?
Even in India now we have single children in many families, and the entire focus of the parents, extended family, grandparents is on that child. That child is overstimulated, plus society offers so much stimulation, there is video games, television, cable and what have you. So all of that leads to a child being quite informed, alert and sometimes apparently hyperactive, and in anxiety. Parents who are often both a couple is working, so they often start suspecting that their child has ADHD, whereas the child is completely normal. So that has to be avoided. On the other hand, in our country especially, anything to do with mental illness or anything to do with illness is also denied. So sometimes true ADHDs will get ignored as, oh, it's a normal child, हंसता खेलता बच्चा है, उसको बीमार क्यों बता रहे हो?
नमस्कार, मैं खुशबू आपके सामने एक कहानी प्रस्तुत करने जा रही हूँ, जिसने हमको जन्म दिया, मर कर भी वह सदा अमर है, जिसने अपना खून दिया, जिसने अपना खून दिया, आजादी की राहों पर हम हो जाए कुर्बान, देश की शान बढ़ाएंगे.
Good morning. I'm Mrigank's mother. Nice to meet you. Actually, I wanted to meet you. It's not any complaint. Don't take it as a complaint. But what I want to tell you was I was concerned about Mrigank. That was he is very intelligent. But only thing is, what I could say, he's a bit fidgety. He has lack of concentration. He distracts other people a lot. He's not very regular in his classwork and homework. Please tell me, is he the same at home?
Yes, I have observed that. घर पर भी कुछ ऐसा behavior रहता है.
The class teacher suspects that Mrigank might have ADHD.
Otherwise, he's absolutely fine.
She advises his mother to visit a special educator who can confirm it.
जो एक और बहुत ज़्यादा नोटिसेबल चीज़ हो जाती है, जो बच्चे हाइपर एक्टिव हैं, ADHD हैं, दे आर वेरी फिजिटी. कभी कभी तो उनके हाथ पैर भी ऐसे ही चलते रहेंगे और आंखें भी, यू विल फाइंड दे आर मूविंग देयर आईज, दे आर मूविंग देयर नेक, दे जस्ट कैन नॉट सिट एट वन प्लेस. दे माइट इवन स्टार्ट प्लेइंग. जैसे यहाँ चीज़ें पड़ी हैं, वो किसी चीज़ से खेलना शुरू कर देंगे. मतलब जैसे कि उनको कोई कंट्रोल, कुछ एक्शन चाहिए हर वक्त.
ADHD behaviors are manifested differently as the child grows. Classically characterized by a triad of symptoms: hyperactivity, inattentiveness, and impulsivity. Inside the ADD student's brain, he has to prioritize what to focus on. While in a classroom, for instance, the teacher's lecture, the bird singing outside, the playground, children talking, Sunday's TV program are all competing for the child's attention.
फिर थोड़ा सा हमको एनवायरनमेंट चारों उसके आसपास का ऐसा बनाना पड़ेगा जैसे कि उसमें बच्चे को ज़्यादा डिस्ट्रैक्शन ना मिले.
बस, क्या बात है बेटा, आपका ध्यान नहीं है क्या? हाँ, आज क्या बात है? बोलिए, आपको पता है हमने क्या पढ़ाया अभी आपको?
Don't embarrass the kids in front of the whole class. If you need to talk to them about something they did or didn't, then the teacher should do so in private. Otherwise, you'll just end up hating the teacher and then you won't listen to her in any case. Give them some time. They have a lot to deal with. It's not just you who has a tough day.
ADHD is a neurobiological disorder which becomes evident usually around 7 years of age. The best help we can give the child is early identification, timely intervention, and treatment at a young age to prevent the cycle of failure, frustration, and plummeting self-esteem. Approximately 5% of the school-going population have been diagnosed with ADD or ADHD. These are 3 to 4 times more likely to occur in boys than in girls. As adults, teachers, and parents, we play a major role in how these children achieve, succeed, and feel about themselves.
I do want to clarify that ADHD is one disorder where you don't go by just one setting. There are usually 3 settings that a child is exposed to. One is the home, one is the school, and the third is the society or the peer group. And it is usually possible that there may be a problem in the setting itself. Say there is a problem with the teacher or with some subject and the child may be having behavioral problems because of that. So then you do not label a child as having a disorder. It has to be 2 or more settings. So when we assess a child for ADHD, we would have to talk to either the peer group and the teacher and the parents to get a very good complete picture.
नो उनका अगर आप ये सोचते हैं कि उनके सुनने की शक्ति कम होती है, वो नहीं होता. They do not have any problem with hearing. It may appear that they have a problem because what actually happens, normal course of time, we hear and our brain processes and we act. All that is going simultaneously. But children with ADD or ADHD, there is a kind of brain is not able to process the information that they hear immediately. Therefore, there is a sluggishness in the action.
Children with ADHD have a short concentration span and will tend to get distracted easily if left unattended during their studies.
Would you like to take a clue?
The frontal cortex of the brain is involved with functions like problem solving, attention, reasoning, and planning. ADD and ADHD sufferers usually have deficits in these functions.
You will find out and tell me. Like to go through a storybook? Can I talk to your mama?
The special educator informed the mother that the testing needed to be done over repeated sessions and she would need to bring him again.
Generally सुनने में क्या आता है, ये तो सुनता ही नहीं है, ये तो कुछ करता ही नहीं है, ये तो भागता रहता है, इसका मन नहीं लगता. Whereas people who are concerned with the child should understand that this is a biological condition. It is not that child doesn't want to listen or doesn't want to do. It is he cannot or she cannot do it. The moment people begin to understand it, they begin to look at the child differently. They begin to respond to the child differently, and it's a kind of a liberating experience. I have seen children suddenly being feeling as if उनको एक label से freedom मिल गई है.
In ADD, there is a possible lack of dopamine which transmits neurosensory messages. When we concentrate, our brain releases extra neurotransmitters which enable us to focus. People with ADD seem to have a shortage of these neurotransmitters. ADHD tends to run in families. A child with ADHD is likely to have a parent, sibling or grandparent or some other relative who had similar school histories and behaviors during their childhood. But besides the genetic, there are physiological or biological causes as well.
आप क्या suggest करेंगे मृगांक के लिए?
मृगांक जैसे कि असेसमेंट के हिसाब से मुझे लग रहा है कि थोड़ा सा हाइपर एक्टिविटी के सिम्टम्स तो शो कर रहा है, और हाइपर एक्टिविटी के लिए उसके अगर आप घर में थोड़ा सा स्ट्रक्चर्ड रूटीन रखें, टाइम टेबल फॉलो करें, तो वो अच्छे से थोड़ा बैठ के एक जगह करेगा काम, और जगह बना दें, कॉर्नर्स अलॉट कर दें स्ट्रक्चर्ड एक्टिविटीज़ के लिए कि यहाँ ये एक्टिविटी होगी, यहाँ ये होगी, तो उससे करेगा वो. इसके अलावा इन बच्चों का क्या होता है कि जैसे मोटर ऑन हो जाती है तो वो चलती जाती है, तो वो है कि उसको थोड़ा सा एनर्जीज़ को यूटिलाइज़ करना पड़ेगा आपको कंस्ट्रक्टिव वे में. उसको आप स्पोर्ट्स में डालिए, स्ट्रक्चर्ड स्पोर्ट्स में, गेम्स में, जैसे क्रिकेट है, हॉकी हो गई, वॉलीबॉल हो गई.
आपका फुट फॉरवर्ड होगा बट बॉडी वेट पिछले पैर पे होगा। मैं फुट ऐसे फॉरवर्ड किया, ठीक है ना, हील पे, फर्स्ट हील पे आओ। हाँ,
Also TV watching, for TV watching you can have something soothing. Reduce the time for TV watching, like cartoons and the kind of action songs or action sequences.
Mrigang's mother was advised to ensure that he studies under adult supervision.
क्या हो रहा है? पढ़ाई हो रही है या बाहर देखा जा रहा है? हाँ?
Other changes to be made in his environment to help him focus included keeping the window closed or painted and providing an uncluttered corner for his studies.
The management of ADHD involves drugs and what we call behavior therapy, where we modify the behavior of the child. It's almost like the reward and punishment paradigm which we normally use to discipline children, that if you do this we give you this, if you don't do this we take away this. Not punishment as in beating up, punishment as in withdrawing something pleasurable to the child or giving something pleasurable to the child. So that's basically the principle of behavior therapy. Fortunately, we have a lot of drugs with very good results, and initially they were not available in our country because they have abuse potential, addiction potential. But now with prescription from a psychiatrist and neurologist, you can get these drugs. They have a few side effects, so they should not be taken without supervision.
The main group of medicines that are used for ADHD are called psychostimulants, and these are medicines which actually stimulate the mind. And paradoxically, with children who have ADHD, they somehow manage to calm them down. And the reason for that is the hypothesis that goes behind understanding what is ADHD. After all, we have amongst the different lobes of our brain, what is called the prefrontal lobes, which is the one right in the front. It is also called the executive of the brain. And what it does is that it controls the rest of the brain. It, it improves attention and concentration. It helps to curb impulsivity. It helps in planning, logical thinking, sequential thinking, memory, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So the hypothesis is that in children who have ADHD, the prefrontal lobes don't function just as well. And what the psychostimulants do is that they stimulate the prefrontal lobes particularly. So for another person or another child, it might actually stimulate them or even make them very restless. But for a child who has ADHD, it often calms them by stimulating the prefrontal lobes.
But many a times these children are pretty gifted, and in fact it has been seen time and time again कि उनका और चीज़ों में ध्यान चला जाता है, जैसे म्यूज़िक है, आर्ट्स है, and they have exceptional talent in these areas.
Contact, and after contact, the follow through. Back of the hand, resting on the side. Good job.
Haven't we all been naughty? Wasn't it so much fun to trouble the maths teacher when she was doing a boring maths sum on the board? I think most of the teachers today do feel that almost every child is an ADHD child, but we go by a certain criteria. In India these days we follow what is the DSM-4, which is the Diagnostics Manual published by the American Psychological Association. According to that manual, there are two aspects of ADHD. There's the inattentive aspect and there is the hyperactive impulsive aspect of the child.
Hello.
In the inattentive aspect, I'm going to read out a few points. They'll help you with how, they'll help us in knowing how we diagnose children. In the inattentiveness, there's a failing to pay close attention to details or making of careless mistakes. There's trouble keeping attention focused during even play and activities, not just padhai. The child appears not to be listening even when you're addressing the child 1:1. There's a failing to follow instructions or to finish a given task. They try and avoid tasks that require high amount of mental effort. Therefore, the more complicated the activity, the sooner the child loses interest in it and is looking for something more interesting to do. The frequency of losing items required to facilitate any work is very, very high. So this is the child, the minute the class starts, will start looking for a pen or a pencil. You know, and the first child to say, ma'am, I can't write, I don't have a pen. Or, I haven't got my almanac to school today. Or, the note you sent home, I lost it. My mother doesn't know what to do.
Can you tell us a few techniques that we can use in the classroom to help these children?
First and foremost, accept the child. Love the child. The minute the child feels accepted and part of the group, it makes life easier for him and therefore for you. Give the child shorter goals to do. Instead of writing 20 questions on the board and expecting the child to be able to do them, write the 20 questions, but for this child your instructions can be finished for, come to me, show them to me, and then we'll move on to the next 4, right? Give him or her the option of physically moving about. Hamesha, hamesha, hamesha. Constant positive reinforcement. You have to praise the child when he does something good. Exaggerate your positive attitudes. Zor se. Kitna acha kaam kiya, rather than saying kitna acha kaam kiya. And last, we have seen some things that help the children, things like yoga, brain gym, breathing exercises that help the child calm down.
We can help them manage their lives, cope with their frustrations, and compensate for their weaknesses. We can help them see their strengths, often giftedness, and their uniqueness. There are many similarities between gifted children and those with ADD or ADHD.